Hello and welcome to today's web seminar, a unique approach to enabling software quality at speed with Agile Test Management, sponsored by QMetry, featuring Ashish Kachakar and Puneet Santani. I'm Harry Gagnon and I will be the technical support for today's webinar. Before the presentation begins, let me explain this console. The panel on the right has a feature to chat, ask questions, and download handouts. If you minimize this panel, just click on the chat button to reopen it. There is a download of the slides and handouts in the handout section as well. During the demo, we recommend going full screen mode. If you experience any technical issues, please send me, Harry Gagnon, a private chat and I'll be happy to help you. This event is being recorded and will be made available to watch on demand. Once the recording is ready, you'll get an email with instructions about how to access the presentation. Finally, to optimize your bandwidth for the best viewing experience, please close any other applications you have running in the background. And with that, I'd like to welcome and introduce Puneet.
Harry, are you there?
Yes, Puneet, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, I am Puneet, Senior Product Manager at QMetry. In my current role, I define the product roadmap and vision for QMetry test management products. I ensure that customer feedback and inputs are incorporated into product. I work closely with engineering teams to ensure the new features and improvements are developed to the matter for the end users and achieve high customer success rate. I have headed support at QMetry and have a vast experience of working with enterprise organizations for implementing test management solutions. We have another fantastic speaker who has joined us, and I am excited to introduce Ashish, who is the Senior VP of Engineering at QMetry. In his current role, Ashish leads the product engineering, support, and professional services teams and works closely in defining the product roadmap. He specializes in product engineering, digital transformation, and analytics, and has served as a technology leader for product development and quality engineering for high-tech companies.
Thank you, Puneet, for the introduction. And hi, everybody. And thank you for having me on the show.
Businesses today expect high-quality software to be delivered quickly. They have implemented Agile to respond to rapidly changing requirements and DevOps to meet the demand for speed. But without continuous testing, the Agile and DevOps approach to digital transformation is incomplete and ineffective. To align continuous testing with the SDLC and enable quality at speed, it is important to understand these topics which form our agenda for today. First, we will understand what is quality at speed and how to effectively implement continuous testing. Next, we will dive into QA process automation and AI. Then, we will understand the need and capabilities of next generation test management tools. Later, we will cover the importance of test management in your automation strategy and how to effectively manage the manual and automated test strategies together. Lastly, we'll go over the QMetry product offerings and understand how they enable teams to achieve continuous testing. If you have any questions or comments throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask in the chat or at the end of the webinar. Now let's dive into our first topic. So Ashish, what is quality at speed, and how do QA teams deliver at speed?
Thanks, Puneet. So, quality at speed is a must have for every modern organization. The products are getting more complex, the competition is increasing, the customer expectations of quality are very, very high. And of course, having a low quality product out will definitely have a lot of uh, impacts on your total sales, and your competition will immediately take advantage of that. So having quality at speed is very important to be able to market a good quality product in the right time frame. So now let's look at some of the considerations, what is important to your testing process. So how effectively can you test in every sprint is very important. So typically, if you see in any agile development, a sprint is typically 1 to 4 weeks in duration. And at the end of the sprint, you have a deployable product which is ready for production. So hence it is important to effectively test in every sprint. So you have to make sure that your testing is thorough, your testing is complete. And then the software also needs to keep getting better and better. So as you progress along your SDLC, the quality of your software has to keep getting better so that you can achieve your end goals that you have for quality. The third thing is that you have to be able to leverage agile development effectively. Now, many organizations, as you see, they have adopted the agile methodology. And that is for a reason, because they want to deliver a working software in shorter iterations and expedite their whole development process. So you want this to complement your test process to really play into that agile development, those shorter sprints, and be able to complement your fast delivery through agile. And the same goes with the CI/CD process. A lot of organizations are adopting the CI/CD, and how well your testing integrates to facilitate continuous delivery becomes extremely important. So mainly, the focus on the test process is to make sure that you're complementing your current development methodologies of Agile and CI/CD pipeline.
Right.
Now, what are the key ingredients to delivering quality at speed? So first thing is continuous testing. That means you have to keep continuously testing from development, in fact, early stages of development to deployment. So you're testing. That's all you're doing, right? And it doesn't become an afterthought. It has to be completely embedded in your process. The second thing is you need an automated testing process. And why automated? Because testing process can be quite complex, and especially for more complex systems, complex products, you can really have a complex process. And you want to achieve a lot in those shorter sprints that you have. And that's why it is necessary that you automate the entire process so that you can achieve your end goals for your testing. The third thing is you want to infuse actionable intelligence through AI. So there's a lot of information, there's a lot of data that is generated as a result of your testing. How do you make the testing smarter? How do you get insightful information from the data that you produce, which becomes very important? So having actionable intelligence to this whole process is also very important. And we can have various AI techniques to do that and to make your testing very efficient.
Right, Ashish. So, how is continuous testing different from traditional testing approach? And what is the significance, and how do you see organizations implementing it effectively?
Sure. So there are some considerations. First of all, continuous testing is a process of testing continuously throughout the software development lifecycle, right? So it goes parallel with your development. You're testing all throughout your cycle, right till your deployment. So the goal is to provide an early feedback on the quality of the software under development. And why do you want to provide an early feedback? The reason is that if you can find all your defects earlier in your software development life cycle, it is much easier to fix them, number one. Second thing, it is cost effective. And third is it saves you time. So that is the reason we need to implement a shift left strategy that enables you to test much earlier in the development lifecycle. It also needs a well-defined agile process. For example, you have your definition of done very clearly specified. You need the scope of a sprint very clearly specified. And then also the scope of, your requirements have to be very clear so that you can write very effective test cases. And the important thing also to note here is the in-sprint automation. Because please do remember that each sprint is like it's production deployment. It's like a mini release, right? You're doing it in increments. And when you do that, you have to make sure that you have to finish all your testing, which is your test planning, your test development, test case development, as a automation, as well as your execution. So everything has to happen in that short 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, whatever sprints you have defined. So it has to be, the whole automation also has to be within that sprint for you to be able to execute those automated test cases and get the desired result. The other thing is the continuous testing leverages very, very heavily on automation because you need that speed. You need that, the manual testing is not even here, in the equation here, because you have to really go fast. You have to speed, and give whatever results to and the feedback to the stakeholders and to the development team so that they can take the necessary action. And it also enables continuous delivery. You cannot have a continuous delivery without continuous testing because you have to, just because of the pace it has to keep. The last thing is it needs a lean and mean test suite, meaning that you want to really keep all the essential test cases in your test suite and not have things that are redundant or things that are not necessary, because you're not going to get as much time to do that. So only the test cases that are actually needed for that sprint, only and that too, they are at various levels, and we'll talk about that. But you have to keep them very slim, very lean, so that you can effectively do your testing within the sprint. Now let's look at some of the strategies for implementing continuous testing. Now, one of the well-established ideas is to test closer to the code. And Martin Fowler published a study of pattern of inverting the testing pyramid, which means that testing at a higher intensity at the top of the pyramid with the traditional approach of manual testing through a UI will no longer work for Agile. And why is that? Because if you see the traditional way of doing things, it is more of, you have your manual testers, and through the UI, you're running a lot of these tests. And with the whole agile development, you're not going to have time to do that, right? So to implement continuous testing, we have to test fast, test rapidly, test repeatedly. You have to have automation, which is going to be the key. And you have to change your perception, the way you test your software applications. So you have to invert the pyramid in which the smallest components of your software stack get tested and leave the GUI and manual test to what they are good at. So if you see now that we are testing very near the code, and I can give an analogy here. So if you have a plumbing project in your house, you want to test the pressure of your water pipe when you're installing the pipes and not when it is complete and you're installing your faucets. Similarly, for an automobile industry, when you're an assembly, you want to test each and every part, component, assembly, and not try to debug it through the your dashboard where you get these indicators, right? So testing as deep, as close as possible, keep it at the lower level, start there, spend more time there, and then gradually progress through the different levels of the pyramid is very important. So you start with your unit test, and then you go to your component integration API test. And finally, You have your manual tests. Of course, manual tests, they are necessary. It's not going to, automation is not going to replace everything. Things like acceptance test or usability tests, you need to have those manual tests. But the idea in the sprint, if you're going to test closer to the code and automate at the right level, then you'll see the benefits, you'll see the effectiveness, and you'll be able to pass the early feedback to your other stakeholders, to your other teams that you collaborate with in your agile, and be able to produce a software of a very good quality. So that is the whole paradigm shift, and that is how the pyramid is inverted, and how organizations are thinking. And as you go up over the pyramid, you have fewer tests. So now, initially, from the traditional way of working, when you had a big manual test suite and you are trying to test through the GUI, now you have more tests that are at a unit test level or the component level, and fewer tests that are manual tests that you're doing through UI.
All right, thanks, Ashish. I'd like to take a brief pause and ask the following poll question to the audience. Where are you in your continuous testing journey? Give it about 15 more seconds. All right, back to you, Puneet.
So the poll results say that 70% of the participants are currently in the hybrid mode, and about 25% of the participants are in the manual testing journey. There are only 2% people who are currently at the fully automation driven mode. So, which is good, which means that the upcoming presentation topics will be very helpful for the audience. So, Ashish, AI is transforming every process nowadays. Do you see the role of AI in QA process automation? And how do you automate the QA process?
Okay, so absolutely. So AI plays a very key role, but let's start with what does a QA process automation look like, right? And why do we need to do that? So this is just an example that I've taken. So let's start. How does the whole QA lifecycle look? So first you have the PM. You have a requirements management system. You can have a which has all your user stories, your requirements defined, and then the product owner would typically have they will do a grooming session. The developers would be present, the QA will be present, the other stakeholders will be present, and then there'll be two streams that will emerge out of that. One is the development stream, and typically a lot of the organizations have your CI/CD implemented. So the development team will start working on the code, and they'll check out code. They will do the build test, the typically following the Jenkins pipeline. And then the QA team will start planning on their test cases. They'll be creating the test cases and then preparing to execute those test cases and leveraging automation through automation tool by writing scripts, and there are various ways of doing that, and we will talk about that. And leveraging automation. Now, again, once you automate your scripts, one is how do you cover all the platforms, because the testing can be pretty intensive. For example, if you have a web application, then you may want to test it in different browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, edge, or if you have a mobile device, for example, a mobile application, then there are so many different flavors of the OS, like Android, iOS, and then there are different flavors of the mobile device as well. So the test execution infrastructure plays a very key role here, where you can either have a device farm, for example, for a mobile device and connect to different devices and run your tests, or the other technique to adopt is virtualization. So have a virtualized environment, like you have on your environment on a cloud, which you can create. You can create a container. You can create your test environment. You can run your test cases. You can get the results and then destroy the environment. So in that case, you don't really have to invest a lot in for example, creating your physical devices or having their actual infrastructure, right? So you can create a virtual infrastructure. And then there are these enablers that make your testing more exhaustive, or like for example, the test data management. Because you can write a test case, you can, but there's different types of data that you can use your test case with. And at the same time, you can also do things like service virtualization, and which means that, say, if you're developing your app, it has your front end components and it has your back end services. And if your front end is ready and your backend services are not yet ready, then you can do mock-ups of that. And then you are at least able to test your other parts, and you don't have to really wait till your services are built. And this test environment management is creating different environments, different platforms, wherever your application is going to be used in production. So this particular thing, so once you have all your executions done, then you get the results back into your test management system, and then you get some inference. You can establish your traceability, and based on that, you'll know how well you have done with your whole testing. You get your results. Now here in this particular case, you can also infuse AI based features in that. Like for example, finding flaky tests, or trying to do defect classification, right? If you get a results file, say you have run 1,000 different test cases. Now you have got a big results file. You have used some automation framework and you have got it back, right? And now you have to get inference out of that, right? So one is that you are going to get and log all the defects into your defect tracking system. But what is the inference? You want to get some insight. So you may want to use some defect classification techniques and defect trending techniques to find which areas of your software have the vulnerabilities in them, right? And then you also have things for automation. One of the biggest challenges is maintenance of the scripts. So you can do things like self-healing and all features. So if anything changes in your UI and your automation scripts have to change, then they can identify the changes in the UI and heal themselves. So there are various, and also including test planning, where you can optimize your test cases, and you can choose that which ones, based on the risks, which ones do you want to adopt, right? So these AI-based features also can play a key role at each stage of your QA process. And given the whole thing, this is what you probably need to do for every sprint, because it's a deployable release, right? So that is the reason why you need to have a QA process automation which goes across, because you have to do all these activities in a time, and manually it is just not possible to do that. So if you really want to make your testing effective, make it exhaustive, try everything, whatever different combinations, and then really meaningful, then you definitely need to invest in your QA automation process. So one of the things, as I mentioned, that AI plays a very important role here. And I would just like to quickly walk you through a process example, how AI can really boost the efficiency of your entire process. So when you do your test planning, say, for example, you have business requirements, you have user stories, and you identify your test cases, then, when you have bigger teams, they're writing thousands of test cases, right? There is a chance of them getting duplicated. So if you have an AI algorithm sensing that, yeah, I can detect duplicated test cases, based on, you're trying to test the same requirement, you're trying to write a similar test case, and it'll flag those things for you. Or create test cases even in an automated manner. You can have different techniques for that, like a model-based testing, MBT. That is one of the things you can do, where you can model your flow of your, how, you can visualize it. You can you use a language like UML or something like that to actually model that flow, and then create a test case out of that. Or you can do a test-driven development where you write your test cases ahead of time before your even developers start developing the software, so that they're ready to test as soon as the development is done, and they make sure that it confines to the requirements. Or you can do a behavioral development where you can have your business users, they can define the requirements in a particular way, in an English-like language like Gherkins, and then you can convert that into a test case. Or you can use a test recorder for your UI, where you can quickly record a test case, and then you can use that for your future testing. Or you can just write a test case. So there are various ways of creating these cases, because again, please do remember that you don't have the luxury of time. So if you have to really automate everything, right? And then the test optimization algorithms, there are some AI techniques that you can use for test optimization. And that you can do, you have your test suite ready. You can optimize it depending on whatever changes, risk-based testing. You can optimize your test suite, and then you can be ready for execution. So the top bar, it shows that you can adopt some of the AI techniques to really have a lean and mean test suite that is ready to execute. When you go into the execution phase and you're ready for execution, then you can also adopt different AI techniques by doing intelligent test execution. For example, when you start executing and you have 100 test cases, for example, right? And you go and execute 20 of them, and then you see like 18 of them have failed. And I'll give you a simple example. Like you have your shopping cart, say Amazon or something like that. You have a shopping cart, and you're trying to insert an item into your shopping cart, and that test case has failed. Then you have more test cases that will go to payments, and you can pay for whatever is in your shopping cart, and it'll do all the billing, add taxes, whatever, right? Now those test cases are automatically going to fail, because they have this as a precursor. You need to add items to your shopping cart before you go there and make your payments. Then there is no point in wasting time in those test cases. So if your AI algorithm can find that out, that yes, I'm going through my test cases, but these are the ones that will fail, so I don't necessarily need to run them. So you can shorten your test cycles. Or it can be the other way around. It can, the first 20 test cases run like a breeze, and now that this module is pretty good. It's pretty solid. There aren't any issues here. So you may choose to, the algorithm may say that, okay, let me just skip these next 20 or 30 test cases and expedite that and go to an area where I could potentially find more vulnerabilities, right? So that kind of optimization can be done at runtime and on the fly, right? The third thing is, once you execute your test, all your test cases, then you have your test results. And based on the test results, sometimes, if you see these automation files, they can be huge, that they develop. And what inference can you get out of that, right? So you look at the automation file, and manually, if you try to scan it, it is going to take you a lifetime. So you need to have an automated way of scanning the results and then trying to bucket them and say, okay, these were system failures, these were due to environment, these were due to network issues, or whatever, right? Whatever labels you have put, and then categorize them and try to do a trending. And that will give you an immense amount of feedback, a very, very good feedback to your development team, and then say, okay, this is probably where the vulnerabilities are. This is the area where I have to improve upon, and get some good insights. And reporting is also very important, because once you do all these things, the AI algorithms work hard for you. Then you need to have a good visualization in terms of getting your results. And if you can go to the next slide, so these are some of the actionable intelligence that you can achieve through these reports. For example, as I said, we have the automated categorization of errors. So if you have this kind of a graphical view, and it'll exactly show you that exactly what was the category, what did I run. That becomes a very useful thing. Or you can look at your optimized execution performance with AI, right? So you have optimized. So how did the test execution look? What was the failure rate? Or you can even drill down your errors. In the first, on the left, you can see, you can have actionable intelligence with test results. You can actually see the test results, see the failures, drill down, see where the issues are, or you can even see the test coverage. So these are just examples. There are so many different possibilities. When you get all these AI algorithms churn your data or look at your data and analyze, process your data, you can really have some very good reporting, some good visualization, which will give you actionable insights into your product that can be a very good feedback for you to take some corrective measures. So that's the power that AI would add to your whole process automation to really make your whole process, your whole testing process very efficient.
Thank you, Ashish. You have made some excellent points that prove how software testing processes have evolved and transformed. Enterprises now require next generation software testing tools that are easier to use and more efficient in agile environments. Now that we have understood the key ingredients for delivering quality at speed, to orchestrate them, teams need more powerful test management solutions. These modern tools offer a plethora of features that boost productivity, early detection of errors, and cross functional collaboration. All of this contributes to higher quality. Let us understand how next generation test management tools evolve testing processes, their capabilities, and how they fit into the digital era. For test authoring and test execution, the next generation tools have intelligent test authoring features like BDD Gherkin's support, exploratory testing abilities, reusability features like sharing of steps, and managing data parameterization during execution. All of these enhance the productivity of the tester. These tools integrate seamlessly with existing developer tools such as Jira or Azure DevOps. They also integrate with popular CI/CD platforms and automation frameworks. This helps to establish collaboration among development and QA teams and helps to improve transparency. These new age solutions connect an organization's multiple lines of businesses and projects into a delivery pipeline. This allows you to see all testing activities in one place. These solutions serve as a centralized tool for multiple projects with diverse testing needs. This makes life easy for teams with one login that gives all stakeholders a single view of test coverage across the entire testing lifecycle. A modern tool also adapts to any development methodology like Agile, Waterfall, or any other. They have inbuilt workflow for industries requiring regulatory compliance for their testing activities. Features like audit logging for every event and approval workflow are required by customers in highly regulated industries. Quality analytics. The modern test management platforms provide real time insights into software quality through the comprehensive reports and dashboard models. Reports like traceability, coverage, execution progress, bug analysis, and trends are all built in. Not only that, there are advanced features that enable business users to generate their own reports using a no code interface. Technical users can generate their custom reports using SQL statements. All the reports that are generated can be easily shared across teams and can be reused across projects. Like Ashish, you correctly said, AI abilities are the most important features of the next generation test management tools. These tools possess AI features like providing predictive and prescriptive recommendations to the QA teams. They continue to innovate features to meet evolving customer needs and market trends. If we talk about scalable architecture, the latest generation of test management tools are entirely SaaS based. They provide high availability and scalability with a low cost of ownership and maintenance. They have configurable feature based models that allow QA teams to buy only what is important for them, keeping their budgets under control. With more enterprises adopting cloud solutions, security, compliance, and data management are important across industries and kind of scales. The new age tools have their processes which are well audited and compliance certified with ISO and SOC 2 certifications. Integration with existing tools used by an organization could be required, but may not be supported out of the box. A modern tool has REST APIs that allow it to interact and integrate with your existing tool chains. Migration and adoption. These tools provide easy migration from legacy test management tools. Importing all test cases and test executions from a legacy application is just a few clicks. The whole process is performed through utilities. Enterprise teams can get a single project running in few hours and fully migrate to the tool in just few weeks. We all like tools with modern UI. The new age tools are intuitive, simple to learn, customizable as per the testing process, easier to adopt and onboard. Integrations are simpler and more secure.
Thank you, Puneet. Let's take another brief pause and ask the following poll question to the audience. Which test management capabilities are important to you? All right, back to you, Puneet.
Wow, we have got wonderful responses. So there's no option which is a clear winner. Almost 29% of the audience feels that integrating seamlessly with development, automation, and CI/CD platforms is important. About 25% feel that intelligent test authoring, exploratory testing, and reusability features for efficient testing is important. And then reporting. So 20% people believe that real-time smart analytics and advanced custom reporting abilities are important. Okay. Today, successful QA teams utilize a blend of automation and test strategies for speedy releases, accuracy, and cost effectiveness. Agile teams become more efficient when automation tools are integrated with test management tools, as it helps to assess progress and conclude whether the releases are ready for delivery. Let us understand what are the key benefits of integrating automation tool with a test management tool. Users get one tool experience with end-to-end test management abilities. Organizations working on variety of projects need flexibility. Teams may use different automation tools and different automation frameworks integrated with their DevOps pipelines for continuous testing. They can publish automated test execution results in the test management solutions. Hence, a test management solution becomes a repository of your manual and automated test cases and test executions. This enables QA leaders to get a consolidated view of testing progress for different releases, projects, and sprints. The second key benefit is better traceability and test coverage. Test management involves planning and organizing your tests so that you can ensure the traceability. Testers can track test cases that are candidates for automation and review the progress as you create, run, and maintain these automation tests. Practically, not every test can be automated, and some tests have to remain manual. Like we have seen that a lot of participants have chosen hybrid approach as their testing strategy. Even though the tests are automated, it is necessary to document the functionality that they are supposed to test. Hence, it is important to map manual and automated tests together. Bringing them together in a common platform helps to avoid redundant efforts and to know the test coverage at any point in time. The third key benefit is assessment of the effectiveness of your current automation tool set. Test management enable teams to identify which automated tests are buggy and prone to break. They can provide you evidence as to whether your current automation tooling is a good fit for your team. For example, if your automated tests are always breaking and constantly needs to be fixed, this information can help you build a business case for why you need a better automation tool. This also helps to identify if the current tooling can help you achieve your in-sprint automation goal. Majority of the organizations see increased visibility for development teams as an important benefit. The key to the success of shift left approach is collaboration, transparency, and visibility into quality throughout the development life cycle. Automation tests can be automatically linked to requirements in order to get end-to-end traceability. Test managements are tightly integrated with project management tools like Jira. Product owners and developers can view test cases, steps, executions directly into the stories and defects without even having access to the test management tool. This keeps everyone on the same page and provides transparency. When we talk about AI insights, AI techniques churn all the test data to produce actionable intelligence and optimization recommendations for the testing teams. It helps QA teams to make better conclusion on their testing activities. AI algorithms predict relevant test cases that can be linked to a requirement. This helps to have appropriate test coverage, and adequate test coverage for your user stories. They also indicate flakiness of a test case based on test execution history and helps to gain better confidence on testing. Compliance. For customers in highly regulated industries like healthcare and life science, they need e-signature approval workflows and they need ways to share testing evidence as per their compliance standards. These compliances are also applicable to automation test strategies. Leveraging reporting with real-time actionable insights. Believe me, as agile development has taken off, the time pressure on QA departments have gone through the roof. Testers are frequently expected to produce results, reports, and assess progress. Integrating a test automation framework enables testers to leverage wide variety of reports and matrices that a test management tool produce. That means testers will have a consolidated view of the matrices they need in real time. Multiple platform views and better reusability. Test management solutions allow reusing the test cycles and test cases to capture manual and automated test executions for different releases and platforms. All teams get a consolidated view of testing results performed on multiple platforms without managing multiple assets. Same goes with bugs that have been found during testing. This reduces data duplication because all teams have the same view. Now, as we have understood the importance of test management tool in the test automation strategy, let's understand how do organizations effectively manage manual and automated test strategies together. There are two common test automation workflow, code first approach and the specification first approach. In the code first approach, teams design and plan their tests directly in the test code. They implement the test scripts and manage the executions outside a test management tool. Till this moment, there are no automated tests present inside the test management tool. In this approach, when automation results are published to the test management, the test cases and test executions are automatically created by intelligently consuming the result files. Testers can view them well organized in a folder hierarchy along with test linkages, error trace, screenshots, and logs. In the specification first approach, teams first document their test cases outside the automation code base using a test management tool. They select test cases for automation based on priority and other parameters. During implementation of the test code, they map automation test cases to the manual test cases. In this approach, test results are uploaded to the test management. The automated tests get mapped with the respective manual test cases. The execution results are published along with other details. This helps to provide end-to-end visibility on the automation coverage. Today, the new test management solution supports these automation workflows with the following key features. They have ability to publish results from wide variety of automation frameworks like JUnit, TestNG, QAS, Cucumber, along with error trace, screenshots, and log. They integrate with popular CI/CD platforms to launch automation pipelines and upload results post-execution of builds. They enable mapping manual and automated test cases based on key, summary, or some other parameter, and have inbuilt intelligence to reuse test cases or create test cases. They allow auto-linking the automated test cases to the requirements to get end-to-end traceability through reports. They also provide ability to trigger automation executions from within the test management tool. This prevents testers from navigating to multiple systems. They have inbuilt dashboards to view consolidated reports for manual and automation testing. Therefore, it is advisable using test management tools part of your test automation strategy, as they can help you build up automation faster and more strategically as you focus on developing better software. So we have the third poll.
Thanks, Puneet. We have the third poll right now, and that is, are you exploring AI-enabled testing tools? Give it about a minute for you all to answer.
Okay. So QMetry offers these next generation test management and test automation solutions that enable teams to achieve continuous testing. QMetry Test Management for Jira is an intuitive, scalable enterprise-grade test management app in Jira that allow teams to manage their entire software testing lifecycle inside Jira. QMetry Test Management is an AI-powered enterprise-grade test management solution. It provides seamless integration with popular requirements and defect trackers, numerous automation tools and frameworks, and leading CI/CD platforms for you to enable continuous testing. It has powerful advanced reporting and analytics features that will allow teams to gain insights into their testing process. QMetry Automation Studio is a true codeless test automation for agile development teams that provide faster, customizable, and simple test solution to produce high-quality software at speed. It reduces about 15% time to market, provides 10 times faster execution, and lowers about 50% of the effort on maintenance. We are open for Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Puneet and Ashish, for your presentation. We had a few questions that came in from the attendees. Again, feel free to post your questions in the Q&A panel, and we'll get to as many with time permitting. For those questions we don't get to, our team will reach out with answers through email. And with that, I'd like to pass it to Ashish, who has some questions.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of questions. So one is that, I wonder who who writes the automated unit tests? Is it QAs or developers? So the answer to that is it is generally the developers. And the reason is that unit tests are very close to the code, right? And they're like pretty granular in nature. So the developer who really understands the code deeply can write much better, test cases. So it will be the developer generally who will be writing those test cases. Can this concept be applied to SAP ERP, especially HR data? So which concept is it? Probably. So the whole automation concept that you're talking about, absolutely, yes. So the test automation tools, again, I mean, they are able to do your automation for some of your SAP ERP as well. Or, so again, anything that is web-based or anything, that's much easier to do. But if you're looking for anything specific to SAP, any of those controls or whatever in SAP, then probably they may need a bit of work there, some programming to go along with that. But otherwise, any web-enabled applications, yes, they can absolutely follow this concept, follow this process, and it can be pretty effective in that. Okay.
All right. Were there any more questions that you had, Ashish, or I have a couple myself?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so we have one from Kim. Can you elaborate how the test management tool improves test automation outcomes?
Puneet, do you want to take that, or do you want me to take that?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, like we have discussed the key benefits of integrating automation tool with a test management tool, but kind of getting better traceability and test coverage, uh, reporting, leveraging reporting with real-time insights, also assessing the effectiveness of current automation tool sets, and increased visibility for development teams, I believe, are some of the important aspects uh, that come when you integrate your test automation with the test management tools.
Okay. The next question is, in the last slide, you had noted integration with Jira. How about Azure DevOps? Yes, we have integration with Azure DevOps as well. That is absolutely supported as part of the product. So that's, yeah. So the answer is yes, we do support it.
All right, I'll go ahead. We have another question from Chris. How is AI helping in test authoring with QMetry?
Okay, so that's a good question. As I mentioned, right? So AI helps in various parts of the whole QA process, right? So in test authoring, basically where you're leveraging AI is, first of all, you're trying to find duplicates, right? Duplications in your test cases. So if I'm writing a test case that looks pretty much similar to somebody else writing it, then it will flag you. It will, that, hey, looks like there is a good match about 60, 70, 80% with these test cases. Do you want to take a look? Right? That's something that could help. The other thing is, if you are writing, a BDD or any kind of, so you have a text editor, right? So it can help you with auto completion or, with syntax checks and all that. So it can help you expedite that authoring as well. So that's where, again, the AI can help you. So there are quite a few, examples where you can implement AI in your whole authoring process to make it more efficient.
All right, we have one from Pauline. What are your thoughts on automating COTS systems?
Well, I mean, it is possible, of course. These things are possible. We have done some kind of pilots with that, and yes, it is absolutely possible to do that. It is a little cumbersome to do that, but it is possible to do that. So we have some use cases. If we know exactly what use cases you're trying to automate, then probably it can be given some thought and probably a solution for that. So it's kind of pretty much use case driven. What you are exactly trying to automate with COTS, and then you can kind of come up with a solution.
All right, I think we have time for one more question. This is from Nick. How do we reduce test flakiness?
Okay, so test flakiness. What is flakiness? Let's understand. So it's like undeterministic, behavior of a test case, right? In some situations it will pass, in some situations it will fail, and the outcome is not predictable, right? It can just behave, and there are various factors, which is governing this. So number one is external dependencies. So if you are depending on external environments, some external factors, external integrations, then they could change. There could be a test data variance that could happen, which could give you a different outcome for your flaky and cause your flakiness in your test cases. And the test case logic itself could be flaky. It may not be consistent. So there can be environmental things, there can be, the external factors, the data, there can be various reasons why you could have flaky test cases.
All right. Unfortunately, we are at the end of the webinar hour. For those questions we didn't get to, our team will be reaching out with answers through email. And on behalf of Techwell, I'd like to thank Puneet and Ashish for their time and insights on Agile Test Management and our sponsor, QMetry. Special thank you goes out to our audience for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.